The world's earliest surviving motion picture film showing actual consecutive action is called The Roundhay Garden Scene, which was released in the year 1888. Since then, it has been 133 years where movies or films have evolved from silent films with a black and white picture to today's very own 3D technology with epic cinematography. Now, let me pose this question. Has a movie ever impacted your thoughts or you as a human being? Being born in a family that has been closely related with the movie making art and the infamous Bollywood industry, I do have my fair share of experience when it comes to the real life. Something that I have noticed is that the real life has a huge influence on real life. Positive or negative, there is always a takeaway. Now, I'm not saying that these negative impacts are just because of the movies, but they are promoted through these movies. Concepts like violence, rape culture, drinking, smoking, unrealistic expectations from life, and stereotypes are normally the negative influence of real life on real life. Let's talk about violence. Movies do not promote violence directly, but the fact that the characters in the movies get into fights over the silliest of reasons and misunderstandings portrays violence as a very valid option. Movies promote the concept of taking justice into your own hands, but if you were to do so in real life, the repercussions would be multifold. The main character of the movie magically survives the gravest of fights. The severity of injuries is never portrayed well, making it unreal and leading to expectations that the viewer may not be able to fulfill. Psychological studies say watching violent movies really does make the person more aggressive. Some studies also suggest that heavy exposure to violent media can be a stimulating factor for violent behavior. Let's move on to unrealistic expectations. The idea of love is heavily influenced by real life, which is so different from reality. Including the undying need to fall in love, having such unrealistic expectations when it comes to love can hurt relationship satisfaction. This was stated by a 2014 study in the Journal of Experimental Social Psychology. The worst part about the influence of real life on real life is the stereotypes, prejudices, and pre-built notions that it comes with. Although the birth of many of these negative emotions comes from society, but real life heavily promotes it. Cinema promotes a difference in people which does reflect in real life. Not all blondes are dumb, but not all Asians are math wizards, and not all dark complexioned people are thugs and belong to the mafia. The sociologist Narsee writes in her book, Real Inequality, and I quote, "Racism is the form of job exclusion and racially stereotyped roles has defined the Hollywood and film industry since its birth in the early 1900s. Why does the curvy girl always have to have a makeover, turn into what is considered beautiful according to the Eurocentric body image, and only then will she find the man of her dreams?" Movies also tend to portray women as the weaker gender, sexualizing them by the means of inappropriate item songs. Television, movies, and video games often show ideal or cosmetically altered body in 3 dimensions, giving viewers a clear idea of what kind of bodies are acceptable. Research has shown that these movies and media can increase people's drive for thinness. Many researchers have hypothesized that media can play a central role in creating and intensifying the phenomenon of body dissatisfaction and consequently may be responsible for the increase in prevalence of eating disorders. Now, I'm not saying that you should stop watching movies and completely boycott the film industry. All I'm saying is that it's time for change. It's time to promote the independent woman, the man who can cry and break all forms of toxic masculinity. that races don't define who you are, and most importantly, love in all its beautiful forms. It's time to change because the world certainly has. If movies never existed, the world would be a very plain and boring one without colors. Movies are the spice of life. Instead of watching movies that promote such negative and ancient ideas, I urge you to watch modern movies based on modern ideas and the 21st century for a much more holistic experience. Because this is the only way we viewers can bring about the change that we want to see. Let's change the impact that real life has on real life. Thank you.